All right, I think we're live, fellas. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the channel, and thanks for stopping by for everybody who's here. We have I'm totally getting myself here. Let me turn myself off. I was getting the broadcast back here. So I'm here with some of my good buddies, and let's introduce everybody. Probably everybody watching is going to know everybody in the chat already, but I'll go on my screen down here and introduce everybody. First, we have Mr. Brian Adams, not that Brian Adams, but this Brian Adams. It's not many summer 69 today. Mr. Chad Husky, needs no introduction. Mr. Eric Broadbent from EVH Gear TV. Mr. Frank Richot from Line 6. And Mr. Johnny Lee all the way from the UK. And then Mr. Steve Sterlacci over in the other corner of my screen. So we've all got our beverages of choice here. So I just wanted to thank you guys for coming on. And I just wanted to do something for this small milestone on my channel, reaching the 10,000 subscribers. And one big thing we'll do a little later on is Frank and the folks at Line 6 have been kind enough to give me 2 native Helix native licenses to give away. So we're going to do kind of like what, I guess Eric's done this on his channel. I got that idea from him, give credit where due. We'll just use like a Google number generator. What do you do, Eric? You just kind of like everybody between a certain frame of time picks a number?
Yeah, a certain time. And actually, yeah, just say start and stop. And there is going to be a delay, obviously, with, there's probably about a 30-second delay. And pick a number between 1 and 100, whatever, and closest person to it. And it's up to you if you want to say closest without going over. That's totally your deal, but something along that lines.
Awesome. So we'll do that a little bit later after we have a little conversation in the chat. Yeah.
Make it 3.
Make it 3.
All right.
Look at that.
This is awesome. Thank you very much, Frank. That's super kind of you, man. So
is Kai Down eligible to win since he wins every contest?
Yeah.
He's ever entered?
Guitars won already.
That guy's got luck. Let's take him to Vegas. Let's go to Vegas, Kai.
I'm going to message him for lottery numbers every week.
If he wins, then we know it's rigged. So
That's right.
I think Kai won 3 guitars just this morning before he came on. I think that's how it goes in his life. But anyway, so how's everybody doing?
Great.
Doing well. Doing well. Good.
no complaints.
Right on. So I figured we could just have a pretty loose discussion and hang out, take some questions from anybody in the chat if there are any. We'll try to keep our eyes on it. I know it's kind of tough sometimes going back and forth. There's Dean Croker in there. Hey, Dean.
Howdy, Dean.
What's up, Dean? How are you?
Dean.
So
Dean
maybe
should
let's
have been
do
in
that.
this.
Yeah, I told him we were out for dinner last night. I invited him over, but he said he'd just rather be a heckler from the chat. So, and you know what? It suits him. It's what he does best, really, right? So. You know what? Maybe let's go over to the chat and we'll say hi to everybody. So we got John Klein. Hey, John. Einar Freiberg says he wished he could watch the whole stream. Not sure if he's still here, but he has to go catch a Devin Townsend acoustic set. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Kai Downs here, winning guitars like nobody's business. So
Yeah,
hey, Kai. Mikey Baker, Tremdonato Guitar Experience. What's that? Fernando Santana. Hey, Fernando. Matt Krill, Ulf Ski 82, John Francis, Matt Krill, Michael Zumberg. These other fellas, Chad Husky, Michael Zumberg, Jerry Castaldo, JJ's House of Jams. Wow, thanks so much for coming out, guys. Brian Cote, Manny Majaya, I hope I got that right. Mark Maidment, Brian Cote, I think I got him already. Dr. Gabriel Salmon, Brett Shaver, ABC Super One. Wow, everybody's here. Antonio, where did we go here? Antonio Gonzalez. I think I got everyone. Oh, no, Paul Terrio. Hey, Paul, how's it going? Robert Appel. Hey, Robert. John McLary, Greg Larimore, Dan Marshall, Ginger Lefty Gear Reviews, Shekius, Dan Marshall. I think I got everybody. Thanks for showing up, guys. That's really cool of you guys. And I hope if you guys have any questions for anybody here, what anybody's got going on, feel free, and hopefully we can get to answering all the questions. So hey, Adam, there's my good buddy Adam. He lives here in town in our area. So I was just out with him yesterday too. So that's awesome. Thanks for showing up, guys. So what do you guys have that you want to chat about? Anything in particular? Or?
Jason, so
yes.
Can I have a couple quick minutes?
You sure can. Take the floor.
So, I've known you for quite a while through the Facebook, starting with the Facebook group. And, I don't know if many people know this, but all of your videos are linked on our KB site in customer service, which is one of the, teams that I'm responsible for at Line 6. And up until your videos, it's been a long debated issue at Line 6 about whether to post, third-party kind of training and tip content, just because there are two reasons, actually. It's not in our control. We'd have to review every single one of them, make sure they're proper, they're right. And the other reason is, we didn't want to be unfair and post, one set of videos and not everybody's. That said, your content was so incredible and got so much great feedback from our customers directly calling us and directly telling us just how much they appreciate what you do. It became a no-brainer to get you up. And now every one of your videos is linked on our KB site. And beyond that, of course, that led to your association with Yamaha in our guitar team, our artist relations team, and now being an endorsed Yamaha representative. I got to tell you, man, you are just one heck of a player. You have an amazing communication style, and it's absolutely. I can't see any reason why you're not at 100,000 soon. 10,000, by the way, is a big number. You said it's not a big deal, but that's a pretty big deal, and it's a lot to be proud of, and we're proud to be part of that. So I just want to thank you, and hopefully we have many, many continued years of collaboration going forward. Lots to do in Helix world. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. That's incredible. Thanks for the kind words. And it's the honor's really mine. You guys have been just spectacular to deal with. I mean, I think this goes through the whole online Helix community, especially in the Facebook group, how so many folks just can't sing the praises of your support team and just all your staff, everybody that we deal with, right? And you guys are just always getting things done in the way I think that every company out there should. And and even dealing with you on a deeper level, it's just always been such a pleasure. And I mean, I got to thank you guys too. It's been amazing. And again, ultimately, it comes down to amazing products, though. And I think everybody here agrees. Nobody's playing a Helix for any other reason that it's just one of the most incredible products out there, I think.
I'm still waiting for someone like Ashton Kutcher to come around the corner and say you're punked with the amount of these guys. Like it raises the bar, and this is no sales pitch. It's like the best thing I've ever experienced from, it feels like family, and then there's business on the side.
Yeah. Well, we can't meet every customer out there, but you guys know, and physically we've met, I think everybody here at NAMM, and we got NAMM next year. And we really look at this like you guys are part of the extended family. We honestly do. And anyone who comes to NAMM, I'm happy to help arrange for credentials if we can do it, because we get so much out of the relationships with you guys. You guys, and by the way, we're proud that you're using our gear, because you guys are the kind of players who won't use gear just to use gear. You use it because it works and because it gets the job done for you. And you're exactly the customers we want to be collaborating with.
Yeah, and I think that's so important, right? There's so many folks who, obviously might just use a piece of gear because they're either being paid or given or, whatever reason. But I mean, my first experience with the LT, I was using a Kemper for a bunch of years. And then I went to an atomic amplifier and I just wasn't totally happy. And then I just bought my Helix LT and that was it. I was just like, it was a game changer for me, and I haven't looked back since. I'm sure it's probably similar. Well, and then obviously just going from giant tube amp rigs that we've all been there, done that, right? So it's a great experience. Frank, before we move on to anybody else, is there anything that you wanted to talk about stuff coming up with Line 6 that you can talk about, that you're free to talk about, or any?
So you guys know 2.8 is just out in beta now, so we're working hard on that. We still, our spring date, we're still striving to hit that. I can't really talk about a lot more, but there's lots more. So there's a lot of stuff in the pipe right now, and stay tuned. Stay tuned.
That's awesome. Actually, the other thing that I think we've all forgotten to mention in talking about Helix is how it's brought together close friends too, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I look at everybody on the screen here, and you know, I don't know, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I didn't know anybody here. I love the story of Eric, right? I started watching EVH gear because, you know, he had the Helix getting involved. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I noticed, oh, Eric lives in Ontario, Canada. Geez, I wonder where he is. So I just sent him a message, never talked to him before. And I'm like, hey man, you know, I don't know if you know who I am. I'm doing some Helix videos. And I said, I live in, you know, Southwestern Ontario. Whereabouts are you? And then, so sure enough, he's like, we figure out we live, what, 45 minutes away from each other, door to door.
Wow, so I thought you lived somewhere in central United States. You know, you didn't really have the typical Canadian accent. You know,
What?
like, yeah, well, I don't think so.
I don't know if I buy that.
Okay, well, see, yeah. So for you guys looking at Jason and I, that's a different story. But for me, kind of centralized, I didn't really detect it. So I'm thinking he's from the United States somewhere. And then it was just like, wow. But, you know, whether it's just 45 minutes down the road or, you know, with all of us, Johnny's the furthest away from all of us, but it feels like we're all in this small little circle that I could just go out the front door and walk over to your house.
And we're from all over the world. I mean,
Yeah.
and by the way, the only way this is possible is because of guys like you know, Jason and Eric and Steve, all you guys. It's this approach, this content that you're creating that has an interactive, you know, component. It's the reason we can do this, and it's so powerful. I mean, what you saw it at NAMM. I mean, the room was filled with people from all over the world who already knew each other from, you know, from these different channels. Just phenomenal stuff.
Well, the funny thing was we got out to NAMM, and obviously, like, I talked to Chad many times. Eric and I obviously are fortunate to get together on a monthly basis, probably do lunch or have some beers, right? Because we live so close together. But I mean, you know, I'd spoken to Brian, I'd spoken to Chad online. Obviously, I've spoken to Frank online a bunch of times, Johnny, Steve. And we got to NAMM, and this group right here kind of just got together, and it was like we were lifelong friends that, you know, had hung out a million times before, right?
It did.
From the first conversation, we were having unspeakable in public conversations that should not be shared.
And every subsequent conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I've ever been insulted as much as I have by Americans or Canadians. Within 5 minutes of knowing people, I was like, I've been called that many names in 5 minutes by people I've spoken to online. What the hell is going on?
You're very welcome.
It was just like having a room full of like brothers, it's cliche as it sounds, like big brothers just picking on each other. And like nobody was precious, nobody had hurt feelings. It was just you give as good as you get, you know. And I mean, oh man, it was just last NAMM was just my liver is still hurting from that, and the laugh as well was just unreal, you know. And it goes to prove that not all musicians are, you know.
Yeah. Jason and I started practice drinking 2 weeks before NAMM.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you got to get in shape for that type of thing,
I
right?
think you should train all year, but that's just me.
Listen, it's a very, very difficult thing to admit that you've been out drunk by Canadians. You know what I mean? It's not a good thing to admit. You know what I mean?
Our beer's pretty strong here.
I got back off the plane.
I think my favorite moments were trying to figure out what we were going to do in an evening, and then Steve always had like an in to get us into the most amazing after party, whether it was D'Angelico or the what was the final NAMM jam there, NAMM nights,
RCF jam,
yeah.
Steve's the man. He knows everybody out there. He's the man at NAMM.
Well, that was the funniest thing. I remember being at the Line 6 customer appreciation night Friday, and Steve's walking around just kind of like tapping us, handing us these passes, and we're going, "What the heck? How'd you get these things?" Right? Go see Billy Sheehan and Steve Vai.
Fortunate to work with a lot of good companies that do a lot of good things at NAMM. So
that's awesome. That was good stuff. Yeah. So anybody else? What do you guys have to promote? Eric, did you want to go next? Tell us what's going on in your world and.
Sure, but before I do that, more importantly than my stuff, I you know, because I hit 10,000 last November, and I know what this feeling is like, dude. And you and I were very, very close, and we're starting to share a lot of the same content. And you know this because I've shared conversations with you in private, saying how proud I am of you. You're an inspiration to me, and you're a good person. You deserve this greatly. You're not one of the people that, you know, I should have this and I should have that. You're happy to have what you have. You've earned it. Like Frank says, you know, like you should be at 100,000, but yeah, where you are is where you are, and you've worked your butt off. You've got a loyal following. It's just absolutely phenomenal, and I'm just as happy for you as if it happened to me today. So hats off to you. But thank you for the opportunity to share something. First of all, thanks for having me here with these fine gentlemen as well, friends as well. Brian and I are new friends on Facebook. We haven't met in person, but I've met everybody else here. But yeah, my EVH presets are out on Marketplace, and I've been fine company with Jason and some other great people there as well too. And I never thought they would take off like they have, and I'm still there. And that's another Ashton Kutcher punk moment. I'm waiting for him to come around the corner and say it's a joke. You can't, they're not there. But thank you so much. I just thrilled to be here, and it's a real honor.
That's awesome. And those presets are amazing. Like, I think everybody here in the chat that's listened to the videos, they sound amazing. And what's funny about it? I've had a lot of requests over the last while to do EVH dialing in, and it's just one of those sacred things that I wouldn't touch, because I was like, it would be like me going into a mechanic while he's fixing my car and trying to tell him what I do. I'm not going to do that to Eric, right? Because he's like studied this stuff and he eats and
it's not something everyone can do either. It's also something you don't want to mess up.
Exactly. So that's Eric thing, right?
It's one of those things where I said it in my video the other day. Like I said, can I play all of his songs note for note? No. Can I play any of them note for note? No. But do I have fun doing each one of them? Yes. And the fact that because I've been a savant my entire life when it comes to EVH, like I use the term an audio microscope. I just kind of listen to everything under an audio microscope. And, I know exactly what he's using for pedals. And Jason's made this very clear in his videos. This is something I've picked up on, and I'm sure a lot of us on the panel have learned this from Jason and the real world. If you have an understanding of how pedals and amplifiers work in the real world, it's not rocket science when you get to Helix. You use some of the logic, and then you can break some of those rules, just like any rules, like in photography or blah, blah, blah. Know the rules first, and then break them a little bit, right? And so, yeah, just using a little bit of the real world knowledge of Eddie Van Halen. And something I discovered recently that was really cool. Have you guys seen at the the Metropolitan Museum in New York, they got that Play It Loud exhibit? I really want to go see that. And they've got like Jimmy Page's, the Stairway guitar, and Eddie's Real Frankie is there, like the real deal, all that stuff. And his 78 pedal board is there. And you see it on the floor. He's got the MXR 6-band EQ. And I always knew, which I never saw that, but I knew he always dimed his mids. And you look at it and it's just like this, literally dimed his mids. So I had to be very creative because there isn't that true a 6-band EQ in Helix. So I had to cheat. And I got it, man, and it's got that honky mid-range, and I got lucky.
That's awesome. Yeah, they sound killer. They sound absolutely amazing. I just want to go to the chat. I had a couple super chats come through here, and it's from one of my good little buddies, actually, Colton Hayho. If you're still watching, Colton, thank you so much, buddy. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. Eric did. I just think those are just absolutely amazing presets. And anybody who wanted to get that EVH tone, it's there, man. It's incredible. So. Chad, what about you, buddy? What do you have going on? Anything you want to promote? Your channel?
Sure. Well, like Eric just said, I'd like to kind of echo that and the sentiment that hats off for 10,000 subs. That's not a small feat, especially in a niche market. Like promoting one pedal. That's very impressive. And you make fantastic content, but as you were alluding to earlier, we chatted some online. We're on some live streams. We got out to NAMM, and our whole group, man, it was just like we hadn't known each other forever. So that's been so much fun getting to know everyone here. As far as my stuff, my YouTube channel is just YouTube/Chad Husky. Still do some Helix content from time to time, but I've been focusing a little more on Variax lately. There seems to be quite a bit of interest over on the Variax Facebook group. So just trying to kind of scratch that itch, and for the folks that maybe aren't as familiar with Variax and the way it integrates with Helix and kind of some of the fun things you can do with it. That's kind of been my focus most of this year when I've had time to make videos. But any potential Variax users or Variax users out there, I'd love for you to check out, what I've got going on. And
I'll plus one for you, Chad. I use your Strat Bank, and I also use basically all of your Variax templates, I guess, your mythology, the way you go about making your, I guess they're called banks, however you make your guitars, I've implemented that into my Variax, and that's what I toured with all of last year.
Awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's exactly why I do it. I absolutely love and believe in that technology as much as I do Helix. And to have people respond well and enjoy it, man, that means the world. So
Methodology, that's the word I was looking for.
methodology. Yeah. I haven't quite
Not mythology.
I haven't quite obtained that mythology status, but maybe one.
You were a myth at NAMM.
That's right.
You were the myth at
Where
NAMM. Your NAMM performance was mythological.
Hey, Chad.
I don't know if I'm proud of that. Anyway,
a quick question for you, Chad.
Sure.
I thought about you the other day. I've had you on the show before on the Helix Harp. I'd like to get you back for one reason only, because, like Jason was saying some nice things about me with EVH. I think everyone looks to you, and just like Steve said too, like Variax. You think Variax? There's a couple people, maybe like Stevic. Okay,
sure,
you're thinking Ham, of course. But I mean, you are the first, I think, almost go-to guy when it comes to all this stuff. And I mentioned your name one time recently where I actually broke my guitar, like not broke it, but I'm trying to make a custom tuning in Workbench, which I have to admit I'm not very good at. I'm kind of scared of it, and I need to lose that intimidation. But I was trying to do an Eddie Van Halen tuning, and I'll share it with you off the air. And I'd like to get you on the show where we can do a tutorial, like teach me, because I wrecked my brand new Shuriken, and I had to like download the patch to reformat it, you know what I mean, to put it back in the factory. So I thought, okay, let's get Chad on here and teach me and teach others. So whenever you're free, I'd like to have you back again.
Oh, I'd love to do that. I've been using Variax since 05, so I'm so familiar with the way it works, and I've been using Variax from day one, and it's to the point now where I carry a Variax, I have a 69 and 59, and basically I have two just if I break a string, which happens. So but I can easily go do a gig with one guitar, multiple tunings, multiple sounds, acoustic. So it's awesome. But yeah, man, I'd love to do that. Just we'll work out the details, but absolutely would love to do that.
Thank you. You're the best at it for sure.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing. I got a Variax recently, shortly after NAMM, and we had talked, Chad and I, over some dinners and whatnot about Variax videos, and I had a lot of requests to do them, and I was just like, you know what, that's just not my I could never. It would take me 2 years of playing around with it to reach Chad's level of expertise with it. So I thought, no, there's no way. So that's why we decided to do that live stream and kind of.
That was very fun.
That was a blast. It was great. And I was just like, I sat there just like taking it all in and learning, and it was amazing. I've used it for a few videos since, and I love it, man. Like I did a Robin Ford video recently, and I just dialed it into the 335 setting, and it was beautiful, man. It was great.
It makes life easy.
But yeah, I got first of all, Eric and Chad, thanks for the kind words. I really appreciate it. And also, yeah, everybody go subscribe to everybody's channels here. The links will be up in the chat. And Chad's Variax content is second to none. Eric does just massively entertaining content with his guests. Absolutely. And it's some of the best stuff out there. And I watch it. Anytime I'm available to watch it live, I do, and otherwise I'm checking it out after the fact, So great stuff. Johnny, anything you want to promote, buddy, or talk about what's going on on your side of the pond?
No.
Okay. Anyways, moving on.
I'm just kind of cruising through. I'm still the bass player that I'm working with at the minute is kind of using Stomp, and he's really, really loving that. So I'm kind of hoping that he'll buy one of his own, and mine will return. And I'm back in deep with Helix at the minute. I'm kind of just really enjoying doing that, and I've got the new Gibson 2019 coming. That's on order, so I'm kind of finding my way around the Les Paul again and really falling in love with that guitar again at the minute. So I've just got kind of sick of shredding, just trying to slow down a little bit and be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Less intense is what I'm going for, But yeah, just, there's plenty of HX Stomp stuff, plenty of Helix stuff, some Variax Shuriken stuff, all on my channel. So, swing by and check it out. Check it out.
Only if you do that at the end of every video.
That's got to be the calling card.
I need to start doing something, just getting the dancing going.
Yeah, Johnny has some great content up there too, and everybody again go and subscribe to his channel. It's always top notch stuff. Great tones and great play. Now, Johnny, I don't know if this is something you want to talk about, but are you doing something where you're going to be working? Doing some promo videos for somebody over your neck of the woods, or?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are coming up that I can't confirm.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, I've been doing some stuff with. Let me show you with these guys.
Nice.
Doing stuff with the vintage, but yeah, it's all pretty cool stuff. There's just lots happening at the minute. So like I say, I've got the new Gibson coming, and you know I'm gonna be making that the #1 for the foreseeable future, just so I can kind of slow down a little bit and not be as shred intense, if that's okay.
Nice, awesome, cool. That's great. Steve, what do you guys have? I know you and Jess has a tour started yet? You guys out yet doing dates?
Well, our kickoff show was Friday night that we did at a theater, somewhat local, within an hour away. But we leave Thursday actually for the UK. So we're going to be in Johnny's neck of the woods doing the Buckle and Boots Country Music Festival in the UK. We're literally going for like 2 or 3 days and then flying right back home. And then back in New York, June 7th, we're doing Taste of Country up at Hunter Mountain, New York. And that's a pretty big country music festival in New York. Probably, I guess it's the biggest one in New York. And then from there, heading out to Montana. We're going to do about a month in the States. And then we get home, we do a homecoming show on like July 2nd. And then July 4th, we'll be at an army base in Germany, where we're going to be going around Europe for the next 2 months until the end of August.
Wow, so you guys full schedule.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, I play and tour with my wife, who is a country artist, Jessica Lynn, and I've been using the Helix for, I guess, 2 years or so now. And once we started like seriously doing like European touring, I was always like against the digital stuff and like, oh, I can't use digital, I'm too cool for that. And then I saw a couple of studio guys using digital stuff, and I was like, all right, maybe it's worth trying. And since then, I'm like, my pedal boards are gone, my amps are gone. I have like 1 or 2 amps left, but so and I make my channel is all about doing like quick and easy tips. Like I can't handle being as in depth and knowledgeable as Jason and like Richie when you guys make your, you guys do longer in-depth videos. So I just bang mine for the people who don't have the attention span and want to get in and out in 2 minutes. So that's what I do on the channel, and that's what I do touring wise. And also, Jason, congrats on 10K. You definitely deserve it.
Thank you very
Everybody
much.
that you see in the forums, anytime somebody's like, oh yeah, I'm new to Helix, what should I do? Jason. You see like 100 comments. So you deserve it though. I mean, the stuff that you make it's I don't know, it's what you need to know about it. So
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Thanks. And everybody go check out Steve's channel. He's putting up some amazing Helix content.
Yeah.
In some really, like I said, my videos ramble on a lot of times, and Steve just gets to the point. So
it's funny. Quick story. I had a friend get a stomp over Christmas, and I finally told him, stop calling me. Just go on YouTube and look up Jason Sadites, and he quit calling me. So.
There you go.
I hope that's a good thing. I don't know.
As far as it was a good thing. we talk for fun now, not for technical support.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, right on. Yeah, so check out Steve's, and actually check out all Jessica's social media too. If you want to throw some of those links up in the chat, go ahead there, Steve. That's maybe links to your tour dates, and Jess got a YouTube channel too, does she not?
Yes, she does.
Very cool.
So throw that up there and check that out. Jess is an awesome singer. And if they are coming to your neck of the woods, make sure to grab some tickets and go watch them play. It's a great show.
Yeah.
Are you guys coming to North Carolina anytime?
No, we avoid the East Coast for some reason. we always wind up going either West Coast or Midwest. We have never gone south.
Okay. Well, if you ever do, let me.
Of course. We'll have to get a cookout and some popcorn.
I would, yeah. Well, I'll bring popcorn. I'll show up with some barbecue. We'll have fun.
There we go.
So Brian too. We have Brian Adams here, and I met Brian at NAMM this year. I mean, we'd spoken a little bit online, on and off. I think through probably the Helix forum, right, or the Helix group on Facebook, right. But we ended up meeting up at NAMM, and he was part of the whole gang of doing dinners and hanging in these. Wherever we ended up with our shenanigans, right?
Yes.
Anything you have that you're up to that you want to promote, or anything you want to chat about?
I've been busy playing shows. I kind of do. I play with a cover band that we do a lot of corporate events, a lot of club shows. I'm based in Columbus, Ohio, so we do a lot of things. Actually, in the big body of water between Ontario and Ohio, we go up into Lake Erie and do some of the shows during the summer, and kind of do about a 3-state radius with the cover band thing. And then I work with a singer songwriter named Dave Amadio. We're writing a bunch of material for his new album here, and in this space behind me, I do a lot of mixing and mastering these days, just trying to get tracks out for people and helping people understand a bit more about the production process. I don't create a lot of content myself as far as YouTube goes, but it's ironic that I've made friends with all these YouTube creators because my background is actually in video production. So I think I do it enough for work, and I do it enough for a job that when it comes time to make it at home, it's just not fun. So
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
kind
want to thank Brian, by the way, for being our personal tech support. Because when we
always,
like, how do
always.
you do this in Premiere? And he's right on the spot with everything.
That's
So
true.
thank you, Brian.
That's true. But I'm a big Helix user. I actually came over to the Helix platform from a Fractal. I was the 30 space rack guy back in the 90s, and I had all that gear, all the tube amps, all that stuff. I actually had a funny story. I had a Fractal Axe Effects. And, it sounded great, sounded amazing. Can't knock what the Fractal thing is, but I just got sick of having a rack and a pedal board and expression pedals and all this stuff. And I literally bought a Helix expecting to return it. I bought it thinking, I'll try this. It's not going to be as good, and I'll just take it back. And the Fractal is still here, and it's sitting in a rack, and it never gets turned on. And I still have the Helix, and that's been, I don't know, 2-3 years ago at this point. So awesome. I think the return policy is up on that. So I'm way down the path. But the thing that was very much like Chad, with Chad and I actually met, Chad and Johnny and I met in the Line 6 booth, standing there after, I can't remember was it Paul's? I think Paul had just done a demo.
I think so.
2 years ago. And we were all standing up front, and we started talking and kind of haven't stopped talking since. But Chad and I started talking Variax. There's a couple sitting over here, an 89F and a 59. So for me, that Helix with VDI and putting that stuff together, I can't even think about it. Johnny shows me all these other guitars, and I can't even consider it because there's no VDI on it. So congratulations, Frank. You have fully sucked me into the ecosystem.
Created addicts.
Yep.
That's hilarious. Right on. Well, that's so cool. So I just want to go over to the chat, and maybe what we'll do is we'll talk to a few people in the chat, and then we'll do one of these giveaways, if that's cool. We'll try to figure out how to do that. So, wow, the chat's going great. First of all, I want to give a big shout out here to everybody who sent a super chat. Paul Terrio sent a $50 super chat. Paul, that is like ridiculous.
Paul's the man.
Buddy, that's super kind of you, and I appreciate it, my friend. That's great. Always enjoy conversing online. Frank Richshot, some guy creeping in the chat, sent a $20 super chat as well.
I've seen that name.
You did not have to do that, my friend, but thank you so much. That's really kind.
Did Frank think he had to pay to be on the panel today?
Yeah. Well, I told him that before. Yeah. But,
sign off now. No one said I had to pay to be here.
And Music Law. He's Music Law is another fella I've chatted with a few times through the gear page. Actually, he sent us $20 US super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Music Law is a great guy too. Right down the street here in Calabasas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Nice. That's awesome. So yeah, wow, I'm like totally behind on the chat, man. I am absolutely no Eric Broadbent when it comes to this. I'll tell you
Dude,
that.
you're better than me already.
Oh God, but this is crazy. I don't even know where to start here. But I'm just kind of. Everybody's saying they can't hear Johnny's voice too
We gotta
well.
crank him so if we can.
I don't know if I have any ability to do that. Do I, Eric?
You can click the mixer on the side, but Johnny, do you have any gain left on your end?
No, not much. No, it's just I'll just have to shout a little bit louder, I think.
Just pretend you're mad at the Canadians, and then it'll work really well.
That should be easy to do.
I think it's worse when you're angry, so it's good.
Yeah.
So I have a few people here just giving congratulations. Thank you guys. Brad Miller, really appreciate it. Paul Terrio says, I think the whole panel today are fantastic, endorses a Helix. Thank you, Paul. Paul is like the kindest guy on the planet, if anybody doesn't know. So he's always never has a bad thing to say. And he's a killer player.
Kind.
Yeah, and he's a killer guitar player himself, and I love watching his posts that he puts in the group. And so, thanks so much, Paul. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Bobby Clipper says, "Congrats on the subs." Brian Cote asks, "Will Line 6 be having an event of some sort at Summer NAMM, And if yes, is there a way I could buy tickets for it? Frank, any?
No. So Summer NAMM will be present in the Yamaha booth, but typically we have a small presence at Summer NAMM. Winter NAMM is our big show. So while we'll be there, we are, I believe, in part of the Yamaha booth, and I don't think there are any major events. There will certainly be events, but it's not like Winter NAMM.
Okay. Yeah, it's a much smaller event. I've never been out to Summer NAMM, but from what I understand, it's considerably less crazy than Winter NAMM.
More guitar focused. That's for
Mainly,
sure.
I think mainly because you guys aren't there.
I'm sure that's what it
Diet
is.
Jam.
I don't think my liver could survive a second NAMM a year. It would be like,
Drinks are a lot cheaper in Nashville, by the way. So
I would imagine so. So yeah, I'm just going to say a general thank you to everybody who's given congrats in the chat. There's a whole pile of them for the reaching the 10,000 subs, and I really appreciate everybody's kind words. Marty V says, I played my RGA 8 through my Helix on my mom's funeral and used one of Jason's presets, played Midnight by Joe Satriani. So thanks.
Wow.
Oh, that is
man.
a really wonderful story. And glad I could be a small part of that, Marty. And sorry for your loss. That's tough. Brad Miller, really trying to get to NAMM. Don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it. Airfare is good, but hotel is killer. Hands. But thank you for coming out. Who else here? Let's see. Ginger Lefty Gear Review says the EVH pack sounds amazing, which I wish I could play on the EVH. So yeah, and I agree it does. Matt Krill says he's saving his pennies for a Variax, so they'll go subscribe to Chad's channel and you'll get all the great content there.
Worth money.
Music Law says congratulations on the 10,000 subscribers. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that. Brett Shaver, congrats on the 10K. Jason, I'm definitely addicted to your dialing in series. Got to take off for a bit. Well, I guess you're not here, but thanks so much. So Ulf SK82 says, when talking about Variax, please bring the modeling into Helix and make Yamaha guitars who can be used together with Helix, but have modeling in Helix with great processing power. That's something I see a lot, is that request to have Yamaha integrate the Variax electronic into Yamaha guitars. Is that something that could ever happen, Frank, or is that something that I shouldn't even be asking?
I can't confirm or deny anything.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay, you'd have to kill all of us. Is that?
Well, did you see when Andrew posted that survey this week? It just lit up the forums with people commenting and requesting. There was a lot of good conversation that sparked.
You know, a lot of people
thank
do.
all you guys, everybody who took part in that, because that those are very valuable to us. And I know I've seen there's been a ton of responses, so that's awesome. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah.
Just as someone that I played a couple of Variaxes over the years, a lot of people talk about wanting it in a separate box over a 13-pin cable. Before Variax, I used the Roland solution, the VG88. I can just say, like, that may sound like what you want, but man, having it integrated with the guitar and work and be controlled like a guitar, it's hard for me to imagine it being better as an external component. Maybe in the studio, but in terms of something going to play at a gig, there's no comparison between having a Variax versus a 13-pin equipped guitar. So I understand why people say that, because they like their favorite guitar and they want to incorporate Variax into that. But I mean, this is in no way reflecting Line 6's opinion, but just as my personal opinion, I don't think it would be as what people think it is, I guess is what I'm saying. But
Do you think
that's just my
I think
opinion.
you're right. The experience of having it in the guitar is really part of the experience.
It 1,000%, because I was, you know, on the other side of the fence before Variax came out, and you had the Roland 13-pin, and if you wanted to change pickup positions, I either had to save it into presets or try to reach for these two little buttons, and there was gaps between the changing. It wasn't the same thing. It wasn't like playing a guitar, a regular guitar. So it just shows me, like, the folks at Line 6 are musicians and guitar players. They approach things as if you're going to actually go out and play this stuff, and not an engineer who's, you know, checking boxes off a to-do list of, can it do this? Yes. It's just the Variax is just such an amazing experience, in addition to how it sounds and the capabilities.
that was well said.
Oh,
Absolutely. I don't know what to think.
Mythological.
infomercial over.
All right, thanks for showing up. Good night.
I'm
That
just
was
wondering if we're going to look at a 1/4-inch guitar cable like a VHS deck in the future.
That, or maybe a Betamax. I don't know.
Yeah, beta. Yeah, more so.
So back to the Chad. Kai Down wins the internet today with this dummy. He says, Chad is, of course, Kai won something else. Right? Chad is to Variax what Jason is to Helix, or what Eric is to EVH, or what Johnny is to El Wifey.
Now that's good.
Oh,
Damn.
Well played, sir. Well played.
She will be so happy that she got a mention on this stream.
I think she's the big loser of the day here, right?
Hey, Johnny.
She actually believes that she's like an international superstar, you know? She's like,
Everybody knows her.
She is. She is.
Hey,
she's been out shopping and people have actually said to her, "Oh, it's El Wifey."
That's awesome.
Hey, Johnny, I don't know if you saw the message I sent you, but Dean Croker and I are going to see Steel Panther next month and want to know if we could take your son.
Why not, man? He's a little bit older now from the last time I saw him.
I'll never forget that story. That was classic, man. Anyways, so back to the chat. Dan Kanula, been playing for almost 50 years. Super impressed with the unit and the community. Never too old to geek out. Keep it up, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
David Forbes. Hello, everyone. Hello, David. A big thank you to Nocturnal Butterfly. I have her as a mod today, and she's running the chat like she does. She's amazing. I watch her on Eric's channel all the time. She's just incredible at it. So thank you so much, Sandra. Appreciate it. Johnny turn up. That seems to be a common thing in the.
Everybody just wants Johnny. You'd say,
But at NAMM, we tell Johnny to turn down at NAMM.
That's right.
Johnny turned himself down at NAMM.
Johnny's just figured out why Johnny's quiet is because there's a mixing desk next to the iPad, and for some reason it's refusing to turn on. So I've got no mic that's activated.
Gotcha.
Typically British, you know. Maybe one of you nice Americans can jump in and help me fix it, like you did with all our world wars.
Wow. Well, you're not speaking German now, so.
Well, it definitely wouldn't be French because they just left.
Crying.
So we have Michael Zumberg has a question for Steve. Actually, he says, "Will you be doing the Country Fest in Myrtle Beach?"
Yeah, I replied in the comments too, but we're unfortunately not. I don't know if we might not have applied to it. I'm going to write that down though to see if we can possibly do that maybe next year. We're actually, for those who don't know, I mean, we're not a signed act at all. Like we do everything in house from, booking, recording, promotion. Everything that Jessica does is really her and her father. It's 100% in-house family operation, and we actually are at the point now where we can tour the entire world and all throughout the United States. So
that's really
we do
awesome.
everything on our own. So we can maybe find
Top-notch job too. Really amazing.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Your group is incredible.
I just heard all you guys talk at the same time. I have no idea what anyone said.
Basically, a lot of people could take notes from what you guys are doing. I mean, and that's where big acts, big labels, and promoters, things will look at that. They want to see someone who can do all this stuff without waiting for the silver platter handed to them. You guys have done it, as you talked about it before when you talked on my show, like traveling around with a helix and a dual backpack of guitars around the world, doing it all on your own. I mean, a lot of people could look at that and say, "How the hell are you doing it?" So it's kudos to you guys.
And doing it so well.
Yeah, we've been doing it for, I guess, since 2014 was our first tour with Jessica, and it's just been growing and growing every year, and it's a testament to how hard she works. We have a home office, and she's literally in there 16 hours a day. I have to literally drag her out on the computer chair, or like bring her food, hose her down with a hose to make sure she showers. But she's just a workaholic, and it's crazy to see how much actually goes into it behind the scenes. You see her on stage with the crazy big hair and all made up and stuff and having the best time ever. But for every one show, there's 15 hours of work that went behind it.
Hey, Steve, something I think it's really important to say. This would be a good time to say it, and you shared it with us, and we all know this. So you do this as well too. But this is a really good testament to Helix. Explain how, with sometimes one Helix, the two of you get your tones.
Oh yeah, I do that every single show. So when I first got the Helix, I was just experimenting with a bunch of different stuff, and I came across Richie's video. Richie's another great Helix user, Richie Castellano. If anybody, probably all have seen his stuff, but he did a little video on his sitting in patch, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I was like, I could maybe adapt that and make that work for us. So yeah, Jess plays electric guitar, and sometimes she's got a variety of tones, and a couple songs she actually bumps me out of the way and takes a guitar solo. So I'm controlling her completely on the second path. She's going into the I have her going into one of the effects sends and output through another, well, into an effects return and out of another effects send. So I have her own independent signal path along with mine on the 2 guitar songs. So all of her electric stuff is controlled by me. If she's taking a solo, I'm controlling her snapshot so she could just perform and do her thing and not have to worry about, looking down, tapping on a pedal, and then running to a certain spot on stage. I'm just doing it all from my spot.
Very cool.
Crazy cool.
That's awesome.
What do you think? I just have forgotten, so I apologize.
What do you think we give away a Helix native license, fellas?
Let's do it, eh?
Okay, so Eric, so what do we do
Yeah,
here? We got 59 viewers at the moment. Number between 0 and 100. Does that sound about right? Or
That's probably a very good number with that many people watching. That'll give you some headroom, kind of thing.
okay, so what do we? How much time do you usually give them?
I'd say probably a minute. If you got your phone handy, you can put a timer.
Okay, we'll do that, and we'll do a minute, and then, like you said, there's a bit of a delay, right? So you usually have to
Give a little bit. Now, what I would suggest you do too is comment in the chat and say go. So it's like go now, and then get ready to say stop. Like type that into the chat and get ready to almost hit enter. And unfortunately, there's going to be a few people that are still going to enter after the fact, and it's just because of the delay. But you'll do your very best to get everybody that's within that minute.
Can we get 1 minute of Scouse insults while we wait?
Wow.
Sure.
Just have Johnny go off on everybody, because if you haven't heard a Scouse man go off, it's pretty impressive.
Should I put a parental advisory warning up before? And
I think everyone that tuned in knew what to expect.
I think you're lucky that this microphone isn't working properly. y'all would be in some deep
I got the room with Johnny at NAMM. I heard plenty, and it's awesome.
The best part is when you talk to Johnny and he's got that thick accent, and then he tells you, "Oh, I've been dialing it back so you could understand me."
Yeah.
All right, so let's do this. I'm gonna put go in the chat. When I hit go, you guys can all put pick your numbers between 0 and 100, and we'll do that for 1 minute, and then I will put stop in as Eric suggested. Once we have the numbers, then I'll go to the number generator on Google. Is that the deal?
Yeah, Jason. Just a quick question. I'm getting a message from Nocturnal. She's saying, "Is it the highest number or closest?" So
okay, let's go closest to
without going over, right?
You want to do without going over?
No, I'm not saying it's totally your call. I just want to know for sure. So I'll tell her. I'm texting her because she's getting a delay.
Price is Right rules.
Let's just go closest to. Even if you do go over, it's no big deal. Closest to. How's that sound?
Okay.
Is that cool?
Even over is okay, I'll say.
Okay, so I'm going to hit the go button on the chat. But how does that work, Eric? There's a delay when I hit that on the chat though too, no? Or
yeah, a little well, no, they should see that pretty much instantly in the chat.
Yeah, okay, so I'll hit the go button, and then when you guys see that, put your numbers in. I'm going to hit the timer, and we'll stop it in a minute, and I'll hit the stop button. So any entries after my stop goes up on the screen do not count, just so everybody knows. Okay, so here we go. There it is, go.
Isn't it nice to have a professional like Eric on here to
oh my God, it's
navigate these waters?
I can't even count to 100 by myself.
I run out of fingers and toes after 20.
Is everybody only allowed to put one number?
Yes, yeah, I think so. Yeah, well, I can say
that's a good point. No, yeah, for sure. That's now. What happens if two people pick the same number?
Good question.
Match. Maybe.
Do we give them two of the licenses?
Death match.
Yeah, well, that's.
They gotta fight it out.
We have 20. Oh, I gotta type stop like Eric told me. I'm not good at this. 20 seconds left.
Good luck, everyone.
Yeah, this is.
I swear, if Kai wins.
Where is the Jeopardy? Jason, where's the Jeopardy music?
Oh, I should have had that queued up, man.
we got light putting in like 8 numbers at a time here.
Instead of no light. Yeah, you can only vote once. I'm sorry.
First entry only.
Okay, stop. I hit the stop button there. This is my
I
alarm.
think Mike put 1 through 100 down.
Yeah.
I assume first entry counts in that.
Yeah, I think if there's a number that chose the same number, will do it so that the first person who chose it won, I guess. Does that make sense?
I mean, if someone put like 10 numbers in.
Oh, yeah. If they put 10 numbers, we'll just do the first number they put. How's that sound?
Makes sense.
Okay, so the first number. Okay, so I can share my screen here, I believe, right, Eric? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Click
so
on where is it? It's on the far right side. Once you click, you'll see a little green thing. It looks like screen share. It looks like a little monitor with a green.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
You share the right screen.
And I guess make sure you're talking so your screen stays up.
Yes.
I think if Jason shares it, I think it will stay on. I think because he's the host. I think.
Okay. Does everybody see the number generator?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So minimum 0, I guess, maximum 100, and let's generate the number. Okay, 54. So if you guys want to help me out here, 51, Matt Curl. So he's 3 away. Is anything close? 55 is probably, what was the number? 54,
54.
right? So 55 is 1 away. So that's Mike Foss so far. Let's see. Anybody else 1 away?
Are we getting the infinity loop there?
A lot of high numbers.
I don't think so, eh? So after
Looks like,
Oh, there we go.
looks like us.
It's
Mike Foss is the winner of the first Helix native license. Frank, how do we want to do this? Do we want them to send the info to me and I can, how do you want to?
Yeah, if you can have them send, just all I need is their username, their line
Okay.
username. Have them send it to you, and I'll take care of it first thing tomorrow.
Perfect. So what I'll do is I'll put my my email is readily out there. So anybody who wins, I'll put my email in the chat there, and you can just send me your username. I'll send it to Frank, and you'll have it. So Mike Foss, congratulations, Mike. Thanks for coming by, and you won the first Helix native license. So that's cool. Awesome.
congratulations.
Hey, Jason,
Just
Yes.
with a guru.
sorry, I actually have to leave, but I want to just say something real quick for Mike and whoever else wins the other 2 licenses. You'll get an email from us tomorrow afternoon LA time. Follow the link and then just go to download software downloads, select native, and it will let you authorize up to 4 computers. So, and we also have something called license manager software, which will allow you to move it around. So, you can have it on a laptop, a couple laptops, and a desktop. And if you want to, move it to a friend's laptop or something, you can do that all in the software. So, congratulations, enjoy the product, and congratulations to you, Jason, on an amazing accomplishment of 10,000. That's just awesome.
Hey, Frank, thank you so much for coming by, buddy. I really, really appreciate it and appreciate everything, getting to work with you guys. And I look forward to much more in the future.
I will literally never, ever miss hanging with this group if I can.
Great to see you, Frank.
This year. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Frank.
All right,
See you,
take care.
Frank.
So you guys, how about we do one? We have 3 licenses to give away. So why don't we do one more now? We'll do a little bit more chat and then do another one before we go off. Does that sound cool?
Great.
All right. So let's do the same thing. Let me get the timer going here.
Jason, what's going to happen in the future? You know how, I'm not sure if this is a worldwide thing, but you know how rabbit's feet are like a good luck charm? I think people are going to make a modification or like a model, a 3D printed foot of Kai Down, and we're going to...
Oh, you could sell that because it would be so lucky.
You guys, excuse me for a second. I'm just going to pull up the U.S. Patent Office. I'm going to start putting my patent for that. All right, so let's do this yet again. I'm going to type go, and we'll do the second license. We seemed to work smooth the first time. So yeah, just 1 entry per person, 1 number per person. And the closest one will get it. All right. So I'm going to hit go. Go ahead.
There we go.
There it. Nice.
Who was that, Brian or Eric?
Not
Oh,
me.
that's me, baby.
Ah,
Johnny, nice, buddy.
The only thing we can hear his voice, but we can hear the Jeopardy theme.
Johnny did something funny. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I leave the copyright infringement to Johnny.
It is going to get pulled. Alex Trebek's Canadian, right?
He is Canadian, yeah. That's right, yeah.
I would have accepted. Who is Alex Trebek?
Oh, I'm sorry. Your number wasn't in the form of a question.
Oh,
How many is?
How many is 37? How many is 40? All right, now we got 10 seconds left. 2, 2, 6, 5, 4, 3. Oh, I'm supposed to type stop here and I didn't. Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay, here we go. All right.
there we go.
Stop.
Okay, there we go. We're stopped.
Apparently this phone doesn't like to show. Okay, got the timer off. All right, so let's go back to our number generator. Let's share this screen again. You guys see it all?
Yep.
Yep. Cool. All right, here we go. Let's generate the number 68. So let's go through. 72 is 4 away.
I see a 67, Ron Worley.
Oh, yep.
Mm-hmm.
67 is 1 away. Yeah, that 69 is also 1 away.
No.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, I see why you might want to do the not going over thing, right? Yeah. 67, 69. So far, Ron Worley and Mikey Baker are tied. Maybe we'll have some sort of playoff. How does that sound?
You do have 2 licenses.
I do, but I was going to save one for after. So let's do this. Why don't we do like a playoff where we'll do another minute or not another minute. They can both choose a number. We'll do another generator and whoever's closest.
Sure.
Rock, paper, scissors.
But sure.
And Jason, suggest to bring the numbers down, maybe like between 1 and 0 and 50 or something, or a little smaller number.
1 and 20 even, right? For the two.
How about that?
Cool. So who was it again? It was Mikey Baker and who was the other one? 67.
There's a 60.
Ron Worley.
Or cut. Was it Kai?
No, Ron Worley. Not Kai this time.
Oh, Ron Worley. So Ron Worley and Mikey Baker. You guys just both type a number between 0 and 20 in right now, please, if you're still here and can hear us.
And Kai has a good suggestion. Closest without going over for the playoffs with those tags.
Yes, closest without going over is so 14 for Ron, 7 for Mikey. All right, let's do this again here. So let me. Do you guys see it on the?
Yep.
It's got to change the number.
Okay. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. So 0 and 20, I said, right? Oh, 0.
Oh, Jesus.
Maybe 1 and 20.
Everybody went over. Okay, let's try it again. 1. Okay, everybody's over still, right?
Yeah.
12. Okay. Who's closest? Mikey Baker. Mikey Baker. So Mikey and who was it that won the first one? Make sure you email me. I put my email in the chat or send me a message through Facebook or something, and I will forward that through, and you guys will get your licenses as soon as Line 6 get to it. So cool. Congratulations, guys.
Congrats.
That's awesome. It's a great piece of software, isn't it?
It is.
It's no different than Helix.
Absolutely. If you have a decent interface, then all is good, right?
Well,
Okay,
plus in post-production, I like, recording the dry signal and being able, and not just guitar, vocals, drums, but everything. I mean, it just really opens the doors.
Well, you know what? I get a lot of questions that people ask me when I'm doing the dialing in videos, how I approach it. And what I actually do a lot of times is I'll do a rough dial in of the sound of whatever it is that I'm trying to get. If I'm trying to do, like, say, an artist style preset, and then I'll get the backing track done, and I'll actually record the parts, but I'll always do the whole USB 7 thing where it's just a DI sound. And then later on, when I'm doing the mix, what I do is I kind of see how close the first iteration of my dialing in was, right? And then I just tweak it within Helix to get the preset right where I want it, so I don't have to process it anymore after the fact. And but I'll use Native a lot of times for that, because I mean, in Cubase, I pull up Native on the guitar tracks, I tweak it, and then I export it back out.
Yeah, it's cool. And I do a lot of mixing with our band. Like, I get the multi-tracks after the gig, and particularly with like the bass guitar is a DI, so it's great to be able to process bass and get a whole signal chain. Drums the same way, take your core drum sound and then make, copies of the tracks and just do some fun stuff with it. Get some dirt compression going. It's really cool.
And it's even great for other things like processing drums or whatever. Like the LA Studio Comp is a great compressor for many studio, right? So it doesn't have to be a guitar thing. It's totally usable.
It's nice over the top. It's just smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff.
Like on a return track, using a reverb or delay,
Yep. Hey, Brian, when you're doing any mixing or mastering, are you using Helix Native for other things other than guitar? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. It's my go-to for bass for sure. I love it for bass. Just the bass player in a band I play in uses a Stomp, which is like got to be the world's greatest bass rig without an amp. We do all in-ears and no amps on stage, no cabinets, but for recording, Chad nailed it. It's great to do reamping, that kind of thing that we all used to do when you'd have to use a reverse DI and send it back out in the studio and mic a cab up. And just thinking of the amount of time I've spent not winding up mic cables and running things with using something like Native is phenomenal. So I literally was using it. We were talking before we got on live. I was using it over the shoulder. I bought Eric's new VH pack, and I can't play many Van Halen riffs, but the 3 or 4 that I can play, I just stood here playing going, this sounds like not every other Van Halen patch out there. So if you don't have those yet, I highly recommend them. They'll blow your mind. But I just loaded it up in Native and it was unbelievable.
Isn't it fun though, just to feel it? Like, I mean, forget about who wrote it. I mean, I made the preset, but if Johnny made it or Steve made it or Jason made it or yourself made it, it's just cool to feel it. Like it's really, you feel like you're there. And
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
I know you made it, so this, but I will tell you that I've downloaded a bunch of Van Halen patches in the past, just the custom tone things, people that have made them. And the thing that always struck me is like, it just sounds bitey, and it sounds like it's got a lot of reverb on it. And there's the phaser and the flanger. But when you play this one, it really does. I think it's Pasadena Proud up.
Oh, that's the best.
That one, it really does have this vibe that just, sounds unbelievable. So I bought this one in the same cart with Jason's metal pack too. So I was going back and forth between Van Halen and 80s hair metal this morning before we jumped on. But
are you using stock cabs, Eric, in that?
Say that again.
Are they stock cabs in the?
They are. And here's the thing. When I got into Helix, I became an IR guy pretty quick. Yeah. And this is really funny. This will be a good advice to people because there's a lot of discussion on cabs versus IRs. And I was an IR guy. I bought the Celestion EVH G12Ms, whatever. I bought, like, they had several packages, and I bought the just like my cab behind me, you can see I bought the 412 EVH closed back, and I loved it. There's one particular one, and I'm not a guru on IR, so I just found the one that I liked the best, and it was like, I don't even know what it was, but it was my go-to. And for a while, when I was writing these presets, I had the EVH preset in there, and I'm sorry, the EVH cab, and then I had a stock cab. And somebody in my live show one day was, because I would have a stomp switch to turn on the IR, and I'd have a stomp switch to turn on the stock cab. And somebody says, Eric, why don't you make it simpler on yourself? And when you're in your A/B testing, assign them to the both the same button. So I would toggle one. And so I'm sitting there playing one day, and I'm thinking, oh, that I like that. That sounds great. That sounds great. That sounds great. Thinking it was the IR. Meanwhile, it was built-in stock cab. And I'm like, I got schooled by using my ears and not my eyes, and not my brainwashed thoughts of IRs are going to sound better. And it was a really, really cool feeling when I finally accepted that, because think of it in the grand scheme of things. I'm definitely not opposed to IRs. I think they're great. But now you can take a preset, anybody's presets that come stock like that, no IRs. You can go to a gig, bring in a laptop or whatever you got to bring in your stuff and bring in the presets. You don't need anything else. You don't have to worry about assigning that IR. So very, very long story short, all stock cabs, and it was a really, really good feeling.
I think it's the way to go too. Yeah. I use mostly stock ones too, but I've used some IRs. I like the live ready sound is a good pack that I've been using, but for the most part, especially in the stomp, because you don't want to use an IR when you have the stomp. You don't want to take up the block. So yeah. I'm always using amp and cab with the stomp. And more often than not, I'm like, I'll have the same exact preset on the Helix and the stomp. And I'm like, something about the stomp sounds better for some reason, I feel like.
Yeah.
You guys
You know,
use well?
it's so funny because every single tone I've ever put on custom tone or marketplace, I've never used an IR. It's every single one is stock cap. Everyone. I just for the workflow, you know, it's like I just find it easier. But so this is something funny that's happened in the chat here, guys. So the playoff that we had between Ron and Mikey, they both already own Helix Native. So Mikey says, Ron, I feel kind of bad. I already have Native. Was going to give it to a friend, but I think you should have it. And then everybody's like, well, that's really so nice. And then Ron comes on and he's like, yeah, I have it too. so they're saying about doing it over, but I'm going to just go with Mikey won it. Mikey said he was going to give it to a friend. Give it to your friend and say congratulations. And because we still have one more license we'll give away, so that's totally cool. We won't, just to avoid that. Somebody's going to get a Native license. As long as somebody's getting it that's going to use it, that's totally
just
cool.
make sure that friend emails you their email address and their Line 6 username.
Yeah, Mikey, just send me whoever's username and email that you want it registered under, and we'll get it done. Okay, so that's totally cool. I will give one more away in a few minutes, and that's everything's fine. So that's pretty funny. Yeah, no, the stock cab thing. I just find when I was playing the atomic amplifier for a while, I was getting into the IRs, and it was such a pain to get the workflow going in a way that didn't just totally take away from whatever creativity I was in at the moment, you know, whether it was writing music or whatever. So it was kind of, when I got the Helix, I just loved the idea of being able to pull that microphone back, select different microphones. And I've just found, especially using that whole split crossover, you can really shape it almost in the way that you can move a mic around, you know, off axis or on axis and whatnot. And I can't wait for 2.8 to have those, that tilt EQ and the low and high shelf EQs. Those are just going to be, like, to me, that's my favorite thing. Those are going to be game changers for me.
I think it's gonna almost make IRs obsolete because you can get so fine tuning to exactly what you want instead of being subject to what's there, you know.
Absolutely.
Like set options.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree.
And I agree with what you said about workflow. Call it laziness or whatever, but I've tried IRs, and I've actually got a couple videos from way back on my channel where I did ABs, and I couldn't find a compelling reason to go through the trouble of purchasing third-party IRs and, you know, through firmware updates, trying to make sure I had them in the right slots for when I just couldn't be bothered with it. And honestly, in all the ABs I did, the stock cabs were fine. You had to tweak them a little bit, but to me, that's all an IR was just something that was kind of dialed in. And if you dial in the stock cabs, then every time you load the patch or send the patch to someone, there's no guesswork. They don't have to have the same IR in the same slot even.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about it, is the sharing aspect of it, right? It's like, you open it up and it's there. You don't have to worry about it assigning it to the proper slot and this and that and the other, right? And it's and the other thing was too, is I know that the few that I had purchased, you know, you open it up and there's like this list of,
oh my god,
it's scary.
It's
you know,
and
the names are usually this long, right? So you can't even see what it is you know, it's a 121 mic with EQ and then a 57 off act, you know, and it's like this huge long name.
There's plus or minuses that you have to figure out what they are.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like at some point I'd like to play a song, you know, maybe I won't spend the next month auditioning IRs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Jason, one thing I'll say that's really, really cool and a feather in your cap is the fact that talking about ribbon microphones, a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say a lot of people, I'm one of the people that would have never approached a ribbon microphone. I was scared of it, an intimidation factor. I always thought there was like this SM57 and there's no other microphone on the planet. And that's what I would always stay with. But trying the ribbon, it brought out a lot of possibilities and tonal possibilities. I think I've even used it in one of the EVH presets, but it's something. Maybe a long story short is to explore things that you'd never normally try.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The ribbon mic thing is interesting because when I was running a studio a bunch of years ago, I had a studio that I actually ran that I'd produce other bands. And I had a Royer 121, which is a fairly high-end ribbon mic. And I had a couple other ones, maybe a 160. But that was always my go-to mic but I knew one thing: when you put it on a guitar cab, even if you place it perfectly, I mean, the thing is, you got to be careful. If you put it too close to a raging guitar amp pushing out tons of air, you can actually damage the mic. The ribbon gets stretched, right? Like they're very delicate mics. You got to store them upright so that the ribbon isn't actually weighing down on itself. Like it's all sorts of craziness with them, but they sound amazing. And the one thing that every engineer who uses them says is you can't just use it as it's going to come off the guitar amp. Even if you place it perfectly, you're always going to be adding some high mids and some upper end EQ to it. But they take that EQ so well. So that's why, you know, using a ribbon mic in the Helix and pulling it back a number of inches and then using something like the whole high shelf EQ or split crossover just really brings it to that same like nice high end of a 57, but with this warmer bottom end, I guess is a good way to describe it. So it always seems to be my go-to anyways. But
one of the things that I think is cool is with the stock cabs, you can have that dual block. So a lot of times I'll have one with a 121 and one with a 57.
Absolutely, yeah.
Balance. So you kind of catch the more of the tonal spectrum. You get a wider range, so it's not just locked into one or the other.
Yeah, and whatever you need, you want a little more high end, you know, balance in the 57 a little bit more. If you want a little more dark sound, the odd time I'll do, like I did a dialing, and I think the one I can remember is for Scorpions "Rock You Like a Hurricane." And that one there, it's like, there's no way I'm using a ribbon mic on this. This has no low end on it. It's all like this upper mid cut. It's a tone I would never create on my own. But hey, those guys sold like, what, 10 million records? Like, who am I to argue about that, right? But it was like, it was automatically with that one, it was like, it's a 57, done. And, you know, it worked, right? But for a tone,
I'm sorry. I was just saying there's a difference too between a raw guitar sound and one in a mix. You know, EVH is a great example of that. I mean, the early Van Halen stuff was very top end, but it fit so well in the mix of the band.
Well, what do you guys think of this? I mean, I get comments all the time where people are like, you know, oh, it sounded great in the mix, but when I played it through my monitoring system, it was kind of harsh and shrill. And you're like, yes, that's right, because that's, you know, when you go play live or you go play anywhere, it's going to be the same thing. You mix a bass guitar and a kick drum and everything else in there. You don't want it to be taking up that sonic space, right? You want it to be in its own sonic space. So yeah, it might not sound great on its own, but whether live or in the studio, in the mix, it's going to sound amazing. So I think a lot of people end up dialing in tones for them to sound good in the room, which is fine, but then they also expect it to kind of serve dual or triple purpose, right, in the studio and live, and it doesn't. It's not.
I've definitely been guilty of that too. And like when I do my videos and stuff for the channel, I almost can't use my live sounds because I don't think they sound as good on their own. So I have a specific couple of presets that are my 2-minute tip presets, whatever it is, and that's like my demo preset because. Live, you also got to get over cymbals. Like that's, I feel like that's the hardest thing, especially using the like the power cab. Like getting over cymbals and having the stage volume and EQ to hear it is pretty tough. And that's just something, like you said, like people just totally miss when they're listening to like presets on their own. It's tough to explain to somebody too, because you don't want to make them feel bad either when like you're telling them, oh well, if you play these in a band, they'll sound much better, especially if they don't play in a band, you know?
Yep. But I think people I did a video on that way back, and it was kind of like alluding to the fact that if you're going to just be playing in your room, you're going to probably want to dial in a darker tone, something that's definitely leaning to the darker side. But then all of a sudden you get on stage and that's lost, right? Or even in a mix in the studio, you're going, it's just lost, right? So you need that upper mids kind of to cut through, like you said, to compete with the cymbals, to compete with, you know, whatever else is in the mix. So yeah, absolutely. It's kind of I think that's the misconception that a lot of people have, is that I just need to dial in one sound. I like the sound. And you know, even you guys all know, even where you're standing in relation to your speaker cabinet, right, is going to make a huge effect on how this is going to sound to you. Right? So,
I always make my presets. I try to make them with either like a backing track from rehearsal, where like we use a Midas M32 console, so I can actually duck myself out of our rehearsal tapes and like play along to that to make my presets instead of working with them on my own. Makes a huge difference. I mean, you listen to it alone and it's nothing like what you think it sounds like. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. I think what they could do is they could actually get up on stage, and a lot of people would not think of this. You can use a Helix. You've got all these possibilities at your disposal. But whether you're going to use an amp and a cab, or an amp and a one block, an amp and cab combined, you could potentially get on stage and use just that and feed that to your sound man, and you could sound like $1 million just because you've got all the options of reverbs and delays and pitch change and all that kind of stuff. That's icing on the cake. But you should be able to dial in just that alone and get a good sound with that, because I've done some demos online where I was just adding that portion and people are like going, oh my God, wow, you know, with just that, right? And then that's just like your amp. You could be like, if you're one of those people that can plug into an amplifier and sound amazing, that's not me. I need some effects. But if you're one of the people that can build that amp and that cabinet, and if that alone should be able to get you through to the front of house and sound really, really good. And then from there, add some more. But as you know, Steve's saying, and some of you guys are saying, too, some people are playing bands, some people don't. So at home, you're going to want more of a wet mix, to simulate that big, production. And when you're live, that's where a lot of people go wrong. Like my EVH patches, you might want to tone down some of that extreme reverb if you're playing in a big room, right? So you got to think in mind of the room that you're going to be playing in too.
Absolutely, yeah. So we have a question here from Alex Davis. He says, "Hey panel, any thoughts, expectations for the 2.8 software update? I'm really looking forward to the shelf EQ." Me too. Did you guys want to maybe do this? We'll maybe start wrapping up. We got one more license to give away. Why don't we go across the board? Everybody can give their thoughts about 2.8 and what they're looking forward to and what they think is going to be great about that. And then we'll do another giveaway, and then maybe we'll wrap up. What do you guys think?
Very cool.
Right on. Brian, let's go. I'm going to go across my screen here. Brian, what are you thinking about 2.8?
I think I have to go with the shelf EQ, not because this is your channel and this is as it was rolled out at NAMM. This was even announced as your feature. Something that I learned, and I told Jason this story the other day in a group chat that we had going on. I had a friend who got an LT, and I was trying to set him up with some patches. There's long been some complaints that sometimes the factory presets might not show off everything that a Helix can do. So I went out to Custom Tone and I pulled down every Jason preset that's out there. And I said, I'll just throw these in a bank. And I realized at that point, there are literally too many Jason presets on Custom Tone to fit in one single bank.
Wow, that's impressive.
So it was a healthy experiment to go through. So thank you for being such a strong contributor to the community, not only from presets, but something like that shelf EQ. I know it changed my thinking a lot in the way that you build tones. And I think to build on that conversation we were just having and the layering that everybody had done with their personal experience, every one of those blocks changes things, right? And Eric said it best, when you strip right down to just the amp, you might build a tone and you think you're making it better and better and better when you're actually just making it worse and worse and worse. And sometimes it makes sense to go back to that core feature. And something like an IR versus a stock cab, that part of it, I think for me, is just another shaping. And what Jason might do with a stock cab, I might do with an EQ block and end up with the exact same result. I think there's 1,000 ways to end up in a good place, and that's just another one. But the one thing for me is that shelf thing really lets you very quickly kind of sweep and say, all right, more bottom, less bottom, more top, less top. Okay, that's a good starting place. And whether you leave it with that or not, or you go back to a graphic, at least you kind of get there faster. I know there's a million other features that people are way more excited about, but I like the utility of that myself.
Yeah, cool. How about you, Chad?
Well, I think actually the keyboard command thing is something I'm pretty excited about. As an Ableton Live user, you can assign anything to keyboard shortcuts. So that'll actually allow me to do a lot more integration with my DAW and Helix, especially if I ever get unlazy enough to set up a live setup with my laptop. You could just really do some fun stuff with that. After that, I'm always excited to hear the new amp and pedal models that come out. It's always like, I don't buy new gear anymore. I just get firmware updates, and there's all these new toys in there. So I'm excited about that as well. But from a functional standpoint, I'm pretty excited about being able to do the keyboard shortcuts over MIDI.
That's awesome, yeah. How about you, Eric?
I was going to say the same thing, and I didn't want to necessarily mention Richie Castellano's name, but I can almost feel his presence here when we're talking about the geekiness, and that's the keyboard control. I love it. We saw at NAMM, watching videos. Well, I think it was one of Paul Heinmarsh's videos on the screen. And Eric Klein is navigating through those things and changing the speed and stuff like that. That alone, just so many functions. I mean, I'm thrilled with all the amps and stuff in there, and I may not even explore the new amps, and I'll probably try the Rev and things like that. Maybe some other effects, who knows? But I'm very, very happy with what's there. But I think that little feature, that keyboard control, is it's got my focus right now.
Cool, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think just new amps. I think the Rev is going to be a big thing for me, and I just weirdly the firmware that I'm using right now, I've kind of gone back in time, and I'm using something that was from a few firmwares ago, and I've kind of settled on that. But I think once 2.8 officially drops, I'll be all over that rev amp. I think that's going to be the big thing for me. And for anybody that didn't hear that because of my broken microphone, I'll say that again.
Hey Johnny, your tonsils are looking really great today.
Johnny's a vintage digital guy.
How about you, Steve? What are you looking forward to 2.8?
Mostly what I'm looking forward to is everybody getting all the bugs out before I have to download it, because I'm going to be on the road when it comes out.
Nice.
So all you guys will be hammering out the details and all the bugs that happen. So 2.81 or 2.82 hopefully will be released by the time I'm off the road, because obviously it's always a little nerve-wracking while you're on the road. I think 2.7 came out when I was on the road last year, and I'm seeing everybody all excited about it and like posting about it, and I'm like, I just don't want to risk it while I'm on tour with my
Absolutely.
setup. I don't want to
Good point.
take a chance and have something be totally different. But aside from that, I'm definitely looking forward to the controlling also. The YouTube thing was like so awesome for me, especially for like learning passages and stuff, like where you could just slow it down with your feet. I'm so all the time when I'm on YouTube, especially with my laptop, having to like find the exact spot, and then you have to like keep clicking that spot to get back to it, and just being able to set that spot, loop it. That's gonna be most fun for me, at least.
Well, Steve, you know what? It's if someone uses that feature to watch my videos, if they slow it down to 1/5 the speed, I will sound like a normal human being.
I'm from New York, man. You don't talk fast to me.
Oh no, not at all.
Jason,
That was only installed so that you could understand me.
there you go.
Johnny, you need a translator for. Maybe 2.9 will have a Johnny Lee translator.
Johnny, do you
talking like this?
Johnny, do you ever find when people like, okay, we're talking different languages sometimes and accents and stuff like that? Do you ever find that certain people will speak louder and will yell at the person, thinking that because they're of a different language that people understand we yell? Yeah.
Or even worse, we experienced that in Europe. My father-in-law is the most guilty of this. He's our bass player, actually. So Jessica's father plays bass with us. And he thinks that if you just start yelling at the person, but you speak English, if you speak English with their accent, that they'll understand you.
Sure, yeah.
So if you're in France and you just start making up a French accent and yelling it really loud, he thinks that they understand.
Jason, what's your favorite then? Because there's a comment, I won't say what it is yet, but from Scott Ruth. He mentioned something, and it's a phenomenal thing that's a feature that I forgot about. But what's yours before we mention it?
So 2.8, I don't think it's going to be a surprise that it's going to be the whole shelf EQ thing. And the really beautiful part about the shelf EQ versus the split crossover is, for anybody who's used a split crossover, you set that crossover point, and then all you can do is boost or cut all the frequencies below that point or above it. With the new EQ in 2.8, you're going to be able to set two independent frequencies. So you could set the high shelf at, say, 3K and the low shelf at 300 hertz. So you could boost everything here and cut everything here and have everything in the middle stay flat. So it's actually going to be way more flexible than the split crossover. And then the tilt EQs are going to be really cool. I did a video on this a while back, actually, that did really well, kind of explaining what a tilt EQ was. And a lot of times when you're using the split crossover, I'll boost, maybe 2 dB, 3 dB on everything above a certain frequency, and then maybe cut 2 dB underneath. So you kind of get this kind of a thing going on. In the tilt EQ, you pick a crossover point and you can just tilt the frequencies like this or like this, right? So you could kind of accomplish a similar-ish thing. So it was pretty cool that they threw that in there too. Actually, one of the other things I'm really looking forward to, in lieu of like a Dumble style amp, is the Hermida Zen Drive pedal model.
I'm excited about that as well. Forgot about that.
I actually own that pedal for a while, and that's a really killer sort of mid-gain overdrive pedal that does the whole Dumble thing really well. So I think for you, Chad, you put that with the litigator.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
Really cool. And I think
reminded me of pedals too. I forgot. I'm looking forward to the King of Tone in there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
That's a good one. Isn't it cool the fact that there's so many things coming that we kind of forget about them? That says a lot too, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I try to not think about it, because I see all the posts in Chad's group every single day about when 2.8, so I avoid all thoughts of it until it's ready.
Well, that
But,
might be the most anticipated thing about 2.8 is those posts will stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I'm
they
more
won't. They'll
excited
just
about that than the stuff.
they'll just turn into 2.9 posts.
Bug threads. Well, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
When's 2.9 coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marty
it's-
has a good question saying, will they extend the looper in 2.8? But I don't think there's any adjustments on the looper at all.
I don't think so. No.
Seems like that'd be a hardware limitation.
Yeah. I
So,
think
so Eric, you were bringing something up that Scott brought up, and I think this is Chad's area. Was what you were talking about the individual string adjustment, volume adjustment with Variax? Is that what you were?
Yeah, I think that's great. Like, I mean, for me being a Van Halen guy, with like the Shuriken and stuff like that, I would like to be able to bump up and maybe some of the treble strings, you know, the G, B, and E string or something like that. So, and Chad, maybe that's something you could.
So, yeah. So I can talk to that. So right now, globally, if you want to do that globally, you can do that in the edit menu. There's a global string level, so you can't go above zero, unity gain, but you can pull everything else down, which is essentially boosting the high. The other thing you can do currently is within what you save on your Variax, you can go ahead and change your string volumes. The new update is actually going to be the same way you can change tuning in Helix. You can now change string volumes in Helix, which is pretty cool. So I'll give you an example. I'm doing a show in a couple of weeks, and we're doing songs in Open G, and I want to kill the sixth string, like a Keith Richards style, where the fifth string is the low string, which is fine. I saved it on one of the custom banks. I'm using Helix to recall that, which works fine. But it will just take one step out. Once you're able to do that in Helix, it'll just take a step out. I can just go into that patch or even that snapshot and pull out whatever strings I don't want, and done. And I don't have to even open Workbench to do it.
That's so cool.
I saw somebody post a really cool comment, and I can't wait for 2.8 so I can just turn all the strings off except the second string and just rock out to a sloppy Thunderstruck.
There you go.
It's like, yes, that's going to be cool.
And you could strum it like this.
Yeah, just like pound away on it, right? It's going to be okay.
Campers out of business, haven't they?
Yeah. Okay, guys, how about we give away this last license, and then we'll say our goodbyes. And man, that was a fun hang, guys. Thank you guys all for coming on. But
thanks for having us.
Oh, geez, my pleasure. Thank you guys. Let's see here. So, how do we do this? I already forgot how to do this. Okay, so I hit go, right? And then, so everybody, back to a number between 0 and 100. And when I hit go, put that in. We'll have a minute. I'll hit stop, and then we'll give away that last license. Okay, so here we go. Go.
Who's watching Game of Thrones tonight? I know Johnny is.
Yeah.
Right here. I'm not loving the season, but it's the finale. What are you gonna do?
Well, look at those numbers go, man. We got some participants.
It's good.
All right, watch for the stop, everybody.
Somebody make sure Jason hits stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have it typed in this time.
Let's not.
I have it typed in. Music law. Game of Thrones season finale is his number, so he wins.
Yeah. That's a big number.
Do
you know how many episodes? What if you were to number that? What the episode number is tonight?
I don't know. I should know. I'm not a diehard like I am with Walking Dead. I don't know what the number would be.
I don't either. That's a good.
I still haven't finished the season since the Rick incident. Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
All right, stop, everybody.
Right, stop. There we go.
All right. Okay, so we'll go back to our, how do I do this again now? Yes. Random number generator, which I have to change to 100, I believe, again. Is that coming up on the screen, guys?
Yep, we got it.
All right. So we'll do that. 62. So let's go through here. What do we have?
See Ryan at 60.
Wow, we have a 61 right off the hammer there.
Wow.
At the top. Dan, that was pretty cool. 61. Anybody see anything closer than that? 63. What was the number again? 62? Oh, so we got the same situation as last time. 61 and 63.
Battle Royale again.
Do a death match.
We'll do a death match again. So it's going to be between Brett Schaefer at 63 and Dan Kanula at 61. So you guys pick a number between what, 0 and 20?
You needed
And-
one, right? 1 in 20.
or 1 in 20,
1 in 20.
and it's the closest without going over.
Good luck.
Go.
It'll take a second before they hear you mention that. So
Yeah, for sure.
They'll be going.
Well, in the meantime, I saw a question about high cuts that we didn't get to discuss yet.
Okay. High cuts and low cuts. That's a good thing.
So we got Dan's number. Sorry, we got Dan's number of 11, and who else are we waiting for there again? Brett, there, 7.
Brett.
Okay.
There we go.
So 11 and 7. Sorry, Steve. We'll do that in a sec there. Let me just get this. So 7 and 11 without going over, right? All right, between 1 and 20. So 11 wins it, right? We had a 20 come up. So that is Dan Kanula. So Dan, if you can send me an email at I put my email in the chat before, but there it is again. Shoot me an email at that, and I'll get that through to line 6 for you. Let me just make a note of this. Cool. Congratulations, Dan. That's awesome. So that's it for the native giveaways for today. Nice stuff. Yeah. All right. So sorry, what were you saying, Steve, about the high and low cuts?
I just saw someone had asked a question in the chat about our high cut settings for live use. What exactly we do and what we don't do.
I can give you a tip that I use live on high cuts, and we're all in-ear monitors, so it's extra sensitive when you're going in-ears. Like I feel like you hear everything that's going on, so we run stereo in-ears. But when I started with high cuts and low cuts, obviously that's the difference. You hear people talk about fizz, and you hear all kinds of problems. To me, the high cut's more important than the low cut. Low cut, generally you get some of that bottom end. The low cut will clean it up, but that high cut really dials it in and makes it sound like a real cab. I became a bit of a purist, and I was jumping out and looking at the actual speaker response curve. So like if it's a G12 70 watt, whatever, just Google the speaker response curve for whatever speaker you've got in your mix. And you can literally see a chart with frequencies, and you can see sort of where it rolls off on the highs and lows. And that's a great starting point if you're trying to emulate something like that. And then from there, I mean, that's a scientific starting point. And then literally turn your head and keep turning it turning it up or down until it sounds like what you want it to sound like. Nobody's numbers are going to be right for you. You got to pick your own to what sounds good to your gut and your ear.
It's great
Exactly
advice.
right.
Great advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a slightly related note, I found a chart. I don't know where the link is, but as far as wah-wah pedals, there's a chart like that where it shows all the signature wahs and bucks and
it's Sweetwater. I think it's at Sweetwater.
Yes, you're right. And there's a minimum value and maximum value, and a lot of the wahs on Helix you can dial those in, so that in a similar way you can kind of get a starting point. Again, you have to dial it just like high and low cuts.
It's the opposite though, right? It's what you're emphasizing versus what you're rolling off to a degree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
The funny thing about these type of topics, like I'm getting a lot of power cab questions too. Like it's basically like the things that are not out of the box type of sounds that you really need to either know what you're doing with, or I guess find someone who knows what the hell they're doing with it.
Yeah.
Like especially setting up the power cab, like the basic setup for the power cab. People say it's not loud enough, and they say that they're not getting what they want out of it. Same thing with the high cuts. What do I do? Again, it's all got to come from your settings. Like I like you said with the speakers, aren't like most speakers, don't they wind up being like a 6K cutoff or so?
6.5 usually.
Yeah.
So that's usually like where I would go. But then like certain patches, like I did like my telly patches, like my country guitar patches, like I've got my Brent Mason patch that's like my cut is down to like 3K or something, but because it's what sounds right. It's not, you see the people like in forums and stuff, they're like, oh, you should never be cutting these. You should never be doing this. Like, well, this is what it sounds like.
Exactly.
Yeah. You might be boosting a ton of high end prior to that in the chain, and you have to do that to balance it out. Yeah. It's all about
and
what
I prefer that sometimes. Like I find if I don't have any high cuts on, it's like my treble and presence are on 0. So I feel like I get 0 flexibility with what I want the high end to sound like. So I'll go more significant with my high cuts. And I have a couple of videos on the high cuts on the fizz and stuff and what I do with my global settings so that I can have more flexibility with my treble and presence knobs as opposed to just having them on 0.
But it's so true, right? I mean, so many, you get these generic questions like, how should I EQ my tone, or where should I set my global EQ? And it's like, there's so many variables before, you know, what guitar are you playing? How are you playing it? What are you monitoring through? What's your room acoustics like? It's just, there's no one answer, right? So, you know, even
I can still remember back to the days where it was like, if you hear something, you're like, how do I sound like that? And you think that, like, you can get that from a pedal, you can get that from an amp, you can get that from a guitar. And to an extent you can, but to an extent it's like, okay, you got it. Like, one of the biggest lessons I learned while I was learning was like, dude, just figure it out for yourself. Because you see other people's stuff and you're like, how do I do that? And then you try what they do and you're still nowhere close to what they have. It's like, figure it out on your own. It's the best advice.
That's the other thing as well. I think that a lot of people forget that the guitar is one of the most important aspects of the whole situation, because that's the first thing. That's the first thing in the chain is the guitar. So if I'm playing an Ibanez Gem and it's got DiMarzios in, and I snap a string, and then I've got to put a Strat in and it's got EMGs, everything's going to be like whack. It's just going to be totally way off where it was when I plugged the Gem in. So I think a lot of people lose track with, you know, the first thing in the chain is not the input gate, not the compressor, it's the guitar. That's the very first thing that you need to be taking care of and being aware of when you're building.
You're absolutely right.
EQ
that's
things,
a good
you know?
point. Yeah.
No, that's so true. And so many people miss out on that, right? They'll play it with a completely different guitar. I had one of my viewers play one of the Metallica patches I did. And he was playing with a Gem guitar with those Evo pickups, I think they're called. And those are like super high mid-range boosted pickups, right? And it's like, it goes totally against that whole, well, that particular era of Metallica, which had those big mid scoops. So it's like, you have this mid scoop tone, but then you're taking this pickup and you're slamming in all these mids again. So it's like, well, yeah, of course it's not going to sound exactly the same as what it was, just because you used the wrong guitar. Not the wrong guitar, but you know what I mean? It's not going to be the right guitar for that situation to get that tone you're going after.
And they'll probably have no idea or understanding of what they have and why it doesn't sound the way it does when you do it.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, and then the other good point too is you could dial in the most amazing patch with you know, give them the same guitar, but if they play it with horrible intonation or the guitar is out of tune, nobody even gets to the point of realizing what the patch sounds like, because they can't get past the fact that, well, this sounds like crap because it's out of tune, right?
Well,
so,
and to take it a step further, unplug the guitar. And can you make it sound good with that? First of all, talking about first in the chain, like, can you play it well? Can you make it sound, whatever you're trying to play, can you play it right? And, you know, people think there's this magic box where they can plug in, and if they haven't put the time into learning whatever they're trying to play, it's going to, you know, just magically make them sound like they're heroes. Well, their heroes took the time to get it right. So, yeah, I mean, agreeing with Johnny, but even before you even hit a signal chain, like, unplug a guitar, how do you sound? You know, are you doing the right vibrato? Are you phrasing things right? Or, you know, what's your attack like? It all goes into it.
There's the perfect comment that just came up by Music Law in the chat. He said, "Grilled chicken doesn't taste like grilled steak, regardless of the seasoning you sprinkle on it." Right? And that's like, that's a great analogy, and Chad will appreciate that.
But we can make some really good grilled chicken. But
Chad,
no, it is not a steak.
It's probably way better than everybody else's, though.
So guys, you know what? Here's why we're going to wrap it up at this point, other than the fact we've been rambling on for 97 minutes. We finally got our first thumbs down. So whoever left the thumbs down, thank you so much, because a hangout is not a hangout until you get a thumbs down, as far as I am concerned.
You know what? It's probably because we said they have to figure things out on their own.
Tune their guitar.
Chad told us to practice.
That's right. Tune your guitar and practice. Boo.
That's it. Yeah, boo, boo. Oh wait,
I couldn't understand the British man.
What's that Scouse on about?
So, what do you guys think? I think we've covered a lot. Everybody stick around so we can say bye off the air. But I think as far as this goes, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. That was great. I think we had over 60 viewers at one point. Congratulations to all the winners for the native license. I'll send me your info, and I'll get that all squared away for you in the next day or two. And I just want to say a huge thank you to you guys for coming on. This is just something I thought would be fun, and we really haven't had a chance to all kind of get together since NAMM. And
well, thanks to you, man. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to get on here. I mean, you have the best platform for, you know, what my market is. So I really appreciate you asking me to be on here, and thank you for all that you do for the community and being the most successful at it.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys.
Yes.
Thank you guys. No, I really appreciate you guys coming out, and everybody, like I said, go subscribe to all their channels, Eric's, Chad's, Johnny's, Steve's, I would say Brian's, but I don't think he's doing much YouTube content. So
there's like 2 videos up there or something.
But go subscribe to it anyways. What the heck?
And
but
buy some Chad popcorn.
Yeah, yes, buy some Chad's Carolina corn.
I can keep buying guitar strings, you know.
That's right. That's right.
Chad sponsored, before we run off, Chad sponsored our concert filming. We just filmed a concert special. It's going to be on US PBS, and Chad sent us a case of popcorn for, you know, all the tech in the band, and everybody like lost their minds over it. Like everything was gone within like 2 minutes. Like dill pickle popcorn? What the hell? It was instantly gone.
Awesome.
Hey Steve, when's the special going to be aired?
We just wrapped it actually. Now we just finished editing it, so I think PBS has it scheduled for I think it's mid-June or so, maybe July. There's a big PBS documentary coming out on country music and the history of country music, so they wanted to release it along with that, so hopefully they kind of piggyback off each other.
Cool.
And so everybody keep an eye out for that too. Check out that. That's going to be really cool.
And that's all HX Stomp.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thanks.
I also want to say big thanks to Nocturnal Butterfly, Sandra, for your modding and being such a great part of the chat. Thank you so much for your help today. So guys, I guess we'll say goodbye. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Congratulations to the winners. Thank you guys for all the congratulatory wishes, and check out all these guys' content. Follow them, follow what they're doing, and I'll be back with way more content soon as well. And yeah, thank you. So ciao for now, guys. I'll stop the broadcast and I'll say bye to you guys off the air. Okay.
All right.